certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Burlington's Conservation Commission is being conducted through remote participation. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to or view this meeting while in progress may do so by tuning into the BCAT Government Cable Access Channel or the BCAT Government Meetings Facebook Live feed, or you can join the meeting over the phone at 408-418-9388, and the meeting number is 179-747-7321. And that is being displayed on the screen as I'm speaking. To join the WebEx Live video conference, click on the link on the Conservation Commission's meeting page or on the Town of Burlington's town calendar, or go to the webex.com join a meeting button. Meeting number and access code is there, and there's a password if you need to join through webex.com. New public hearings open tonight will not be closed, so to allow comments from those who are unable to access or might be uncomfortable with this technology. Comments and concerns regarding public hearings should be emailed to conservation@burlington.org before the next meeting on January 28th, I gather. All right. So, a couple of other notes. The first thing, if there's anyone on the agenda, can everyone hear me? Okay, I'd like to make a note about the agenda. Item 11, 12, and 13 has been continued to the, I believe, the first meeting in February. Is that correct?
Yes.
February 11th. So the Redmond Street roadway, number 4 Red Street, number 5 Redmond Street, will not be heard and will not be on the agenda until our meeting of February 11th. In a minute, I'll call the roll call by individual names, and the commissioners will signify they are present by saying here or present. If you're going to talk and I haven't called on you, you have to please introduce yourself. That applies to both the commission and our visitors. All votes will be by roll call. I have to go through each person individually and call on how they vote because of the way we're conducting this meeting. The meeting is recorded. And with that, I think we can begin the meeting. So the roll call is Commissioner Don Bernstein.
Present.
Commissioner Gail Lima.
So Larry, she's here, but she's having difficulty hearing. She texted me, so she is present.
Okay. Commissioner Indra Deb. He's absent. Commissioner Bill Boyman.
Present.
Commissioner Jennifer O'Riordan.
Present.
Commissioner Ed Loturco. I know you're here, Ed. I can see you.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Associate Commissioner Kent Moffitt.
Here.
All right. Administrator John Keeley.
Present.
Assistant Administrator Eileen Coleman.
Here.
And myself, the chair, is present. Okay. All right, next. Is there anyone online, on the phone, or by video conferencing that's here for citizens' time, which is reserved for something on their people's mind that is not on the agenda? All right, there was no response, so the record will show that nobody is here for citizens' time. Item 3 on the agenda is the approval of minutes, December 10th, 2020. Are we in a position to approve those minutes?
Yes.
Could I have a motion to approve?
So,
Is there a second?
Second, Don.
All right. Don, how do you vote on the minutes?
Yes.
Gail, how do you vote? I think she said that was a thumbs up, I think, for Gail. All right. Bill,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
chair votes yes, 6-0. Okay, the minutes are approved. Item 4 is request for certificate of compliance and possible return of surety. This is 82 Wilmington Road. The owner of record is Adam LaPont, DEP file number 122-635. Sir, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Nice to see you. We were at your house on Wednesday, and we did a visit. I'll first go to our administrator, or Eileen, our assistant administrator. Could you tell us what your reaction is to the condition of the site?
Absolutely. Okay, just to recap the people who weren't there when this began, this started as an RDA for an addition within a buffer zone, and when we went out to visit the site, we realized that a lot of trees had been cut down along the riverbank. When this was brought to Mr. Lapon's attention, he immediately sought to make things right, and he hired Norse Environmental to come up with a restoration plan, which you all agreed with. And then he's been working diligently for the past about year and a half on his work and the restoration. I think, would you like me to share the plan? I can do that just briefly. I don't have any issues with how it came out. He was, as I say, he was very pleasant to work with. He did everything he could to make things as easy as possible. Let me just figure out how to share the thing. Town Wilmington. And I think when everybody was out there yesterday, they felt like the plantings were coming up pretty well. And this area between the two fences is going to fill in pretty nicely. He put in a new vinyl fence along this side here. I don't know if you all can see it, but he left a gap of several inches at the bottom for movement of waters and wildlife. And I think that most of the commissioners were fairly happy with how it had turned out.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have comments? Please identify yourself. All right. I have a couple of comments. One, I thought your project came out very well, sir, Mr. LaPont. I also thought that I'd like to express the appreciation of the commission for dealing with an issue that started with unapproved cutting of trees, and you worked with us very diligently and cooperatively. So I'd just like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And the last point I'd like to ask you is, would you, I don't believe this was in the order, but you have the old fence in back along the stream, and at some point that's convenient for you, I'd like to table a request that it's certainly not in the order or anything in the official papers. It is literally just a request. Would you be willing to remove the fence? The reason is that the area adjacent to the stream works cooperatively with the wildlife, and it would work better if there wasn't a fence in terms of a wildlife habitat.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. I have no problem removing that.
That would be fantastic. We appreciate that as well. All right. So, do any of the commissioners have anything further on the request for certificate? Could I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance project at 82 Wilmington Road, DEP file number 122-635? Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved, Don.
Second.
Gail.
All right. Dawn, how do you vote on issuing the certificate?
Approve.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra. Oh, Indra's not here. I'm sorry. Bill,
Approve.
Jennifer,
Approve.
Ed,
Approve.
chair votes yes. The certificate of compliance is issued 600 unanimous vote. We also, I suspect, Eileen or John, we have a surety in effect for this project.
I apologize. I forgot to check what it was. Adam, do you remember what it was yourself?
Yeah, it was 2,000.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any action by the commission or from our staff to full release of the bond? You think that, does anyone disagree that it's appropriate for full release? All right, no one disagrees. Could I have a motion to full release of the surety for the project at 82 Wilmington Road, DEP file number 122-635?
So moved. Bill.
Second?
Second, Gail.
All right, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes, approved.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Approve.
Ed?
Approve.
Chair agrees, votes yes, 600, full release of the bond. Sir, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you guys very much.
All right. Okay, next. We have something under enforcement/violations. The first project is the first property is at 174 Mill Street. It's labeled as on the agenda as riverfront area encroachment. We were at site on Wednesday, some of us were, and I'd like to call upon our staff, either Eileen or John. Is there someone here for that project from the property?
Mr. Chair, this is Attorney Christine Tree. I'm here for the property. The property owner, Kate Moon, is here as well.
Hi.
All right. Good to see you both. All right. So why don't we start with our staff, and then you'll be given an opportunity to say anything further or correct anything or whatever the case is, obviously. So John or Eileen, would you like to set the stage for this one?
Okay, it's Eileen. I'm going to speak. So let me just give you the background. Back last summer, the proposal came across my desk that people at 174 Mill Street wanted to build a deck. That was the portion of their project that referred to us. I looked up the property. I saw there had been a previous RDA that had been approved back in 2006 for a deck. At the time, I didn't see any reason why it shouldn't go ahead. It was going to be a deck on footings on existing grass, and I gave them approval to do so. It was only when Gail mentioned that the granite downs had been moved that I looked into the property further, and I discovered that, in fact, back in 2007, an NOI had been submitted and an order of conditions issued for building a residence at that site. However, at the time, the address was either 1 or 2 Dublin Circle, so I didn't actually connect the two addresses. So there, in fact, was a strict limit of work imposed on the property back in 1997, which, as I say, I just wasn't aware of. And I did give them the go-ahead to build a deck that was 16 feet wide. The limit of work does show that at the corner of the house, where the limit of work slants in, it really should only be about 12 feet. So I have to take responsibility for the fact that I did allow a corner of their deck to protrude onto the no disturb zone.
Okay. Would either of the people here for that project like to say anything further?
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I'd have a couple minutes of presentation and some materials to share. I just want to say that Ms. Coleman has been excellent to deal with and very helpful with this property, and we appreciate everything she's done to help us be aware of the problems.
Sure.
If it's all right, I'm going to share my screen.
Please do.
Thank you.
Does John have to give you, or one of the hosts have to give you permission to do that? I mean, you have to do anything electronically for her to do that?
Oh, I just done this?
Congratulations, you did it.
Great. So I'm not going to go over everything. Mr. and Mrs. Munn have given you a substantial letter speaking about the project, what they were looking at, and the substantial problems that they've gone into in this project. It was started out as a renovation of a home that they bought in 2015. What's not in very good detail within that letter is, although they were aware there were conservation restrictions, they were not made aware of the full extent of them. So as part of this process, looking back and locating the remaining conditions on the order of conditions after the certificate of compliance was issued has been an education, and they look forward to really complying with those conditions that are in there. But what you see before you, this is just an introduction to the property. Here's an overhead. As you can see, one of the great aspects of the property is that it's surrounded by this beautiful conservation land. There is a small area around the house which is able to be disturbed. And these are just Google Maps pictures. This is what the house looked like. It's a September 2019 capture prior to the project starting. And if we go over to the side of the house in the back here, there's a small view of the deck. And as you go closer up on it, this was the existing 4x8 deck. You can also see the bounds that are marked right there. The contractor was responsible. A copy of this has been given to you for obtaining all of the necessary permits, including the ConsComm permit. Due to the fact that they had vacated the home and the lack of communication from the contractor, Mrs. Munn had only after Eileen's contact seen what exactly was submitted by the contractor. The submission by the contractor was a request for a 16 by 20 deck. You can see this is the quality photo that he submitted, designating where the deck was going to be. After Ms. Coleman gave permission, he then submitted further plans to the building department, which asked for permission to build a 20 by 23 deck. And you can see that both on this plan, the dimensions here and here, and then on this, again, quality drawing that he submitted. In fact, he was originally asked by the owners to build I believe it was a 14 by 20 deck, had reported he got permission for the 16 by 20 deck and ended up apparently building a 16 by 25 deck. This is a visual of the current state. As you can see, the extension of the full 16 comprises a lot of cantilevered territory on the deck, but the footings are, I think, riding or over the line, and it gets worse as you get back to the rear of the property. The Munns are at this point suffering a substantial number of problems from this contractor. The latest one, which have culminated, as you've seen, in a police report. They have had to hire a new contractor. They were lucky enough to obtain the services of PAMCO, which is a Burlington-based contractor company, to help finish at a substantial excess expense the project that they're doing. At this point, we've seen that the markers are moved. Certainly they need to be replaced. The Munns are very happy to do that under the conditions that the Conservation Commission sets. We would ask that the deck not be required to be moved. Among the other many expenses that are going on for the months, this would be another one. And the soil would suffer, I think, a lot of disturbance. The environment would suffer a lot of disturbance by the removal of those pilings at this point, particularly where the deck and the gravel that are around it are not an impervious structure. The MUNS, as a measure of ameliorating the damage done by those pilings, would propose that some native shrubs be planted surrounding the deck. This is a little blurry, but in approximately a 25-foot line on the right-hand side, with another one here and here. And then this was late submitted, but this is a list of, with some investigation, some of those native shrubs. If there are any of these that are particularly valuable to the Conservation Commission or are deemed not appropriate, we'd appreciate the input. And I think that's it. I very much appreciate the, sorry, long talking, the Commission's consideration and appreciate any feedback that you have. I think that's everything.
Okay.
Larry, before we go back to the commission, may I just add that I wasn't clear in explaining what the resource areas were. It's not just buffer zone to wetland. It's in the riverfront area as well.
Right. Okay. And as an attorney, your last name is Tree. Is that it?
It is. And just so the commission knows, I am Mrs. Munn's sister. I'm trying to help her out a little bit here. I do board work out in Western Mass before boards and municipal work. So I appreciate your listening to me. I know you don't have any idea who I am. So
That's not an issue. I just was noting the irony of an attorney with the last name of Tree presenting to the Conservation Commission, which is great. I think that's fantastic. Okay. Thank you for that summary. So I'd like to go to the commissioners and see if they have questions or suggestions or comments. First, I'll go with the same order I always go. Don.
I would defer to John and Eileen's comments regarding this issue.
Okay. Gail.
Okay, so I mean, it's too bad that it happened, but I understand that there was some miscommunication and so forth. I think I agree that it'd be great to plant some shrubs along that edge for to kind of demark that area as an area of no disturb and so it won't get changed. That list of shrubs that you put up went up really quick, and so I really didn't get to look at it. A lot of them, I mean, the one that struck me just because of the location is probably Summer Sweet, because it's a little bit shaded there, and that does pretty well in shade. I'm not sure about the other ones, how well they'll do, but it was pretty quick, and so I didn't get to see it that well. But I'm sure John and Eileen can help you with that. But just, and I think and when we were out there yesterday, I guess it was, that unfortunately, you have a great location because you're surrounded near the stream and you have all the woods around you. But there are major limits to that property because it is in riverfront. So you really can't do anything there beyond, what's been done now. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Gail. Bill?
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that you guys are working with us here. The fact that the deck exceeds the dimension that it was, originally intended to, that extension is really cantilevered and not really disturbing the ground very much. I would have no issue with letting it stay as is. The actual disturbance is just a few pile diggings there, and it's all permeable and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem, and the plantings would be, an improvement to the riverfront area. So I'm all for it.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I'd agree with the other commissioners and also defer to John and Eileen on this one. But I think the current plan that they have sounds more than reasonable given the situation.
All right, Ed, anything further?
Nothing to add, and I agree.
Kent, anything further?
No, I agree with everybody else. I think the plantings will really help to add that, and for John and Eileen as far as like use of plants.
All right, I just add 2 comments. The first is that yes, you were approved by a verbal by our assistant administrator, and let me see here. Do I have? Oh, okay. And even though the contractor did not built it larger than you anticipated, the length, the larger part of it is in length. It's not in width where it really encroaches more than what she gave you permission for. So I see it as a non-issue in terms of, given the circumstances, to leave the deck exactly where it is. The second comment is that I'd suggest, as far as the placement of plants, some areas are more bare than others. Our staff may have some preference or input, so probably want to just have a conversation at the site before you start planting anything, and look up whether they're shade tolerant plants or not. That's
Thank you.
I do want to say we really appreciate, this was a tough situation that we didn't anticipate, and we really, really appreciate both the speed of the response when I called Eileen originally, and the willingness of the board to just come out and look at it and try and work with us. So we really appreciate that.
Well, I have to tell you that I think you folks have a far more serious problem with the financial result of what happened with your contractor. We're the least of your problems.
But having to take it down now would have been so heartbreaking. I can't even express it. Yeah. So it's good.
I can't even imagine that. That's like a disaster no one would want to have financially. Okay. So John or Eileen, is there any action we need to take on this? I don't see it at the moment.
Yeah, Larry, sorry, I appear to have not put the determination for. Oh no, it wasn't a determination. That's why I couldn't find it. No, I just would suggest that what they're proposing works. I would propose that we allow them to keep the deck and we go with the riverfront plantings.
Okay.
I would agree, Larry.
All right. Do the owners or Attorney Tree have anything further on this issue as an enforcement or violation?
No, we'll seek the advice of the Conservation Department, and we thank the Commission for their time.
Okay. And I see that and I think we're all set then on this one. Very good. Thank you all. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is 5B. It's 23 Morrison Road. These folks are looking to remove some trees. Are they here?
So Larry, there's both the enforcement issue and an RDA. So you might want to just read the RDA legal ad.
Oh, okay.
Combine the two.
That sounds like an efficient thing to do, John. All right. So let's see. All right. So here we. All right. Okay. Notice is given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a WebEx virtual public meeting on Thursday, January 14th. The intent is to act upon a request for determination of applicability filed by Leah Levesque. The commission will take all information related to the proposed cutting of trees within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands and locally regulated riverfront area at 23 Morrison Road. And we will thereafter issue a determination of applicability. This application is being heard pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. And information or a copy of this application is available by emailing conservation@burlington.org. Okay, the owners, are there a representative here for this one?
Yeah, we are here. Yeah. I think so. Chris and Leah, yeah.
All right. Well, since the way this works, when it is a request for determination, we give you the opportunity to summarize whatever you would like to do. So you're free to speak.
I guess that we just want to cut down some of the overgrown and rotting trees and the trees that are close to the house on the property and overhanging the power lines. We just moved in here in September of this year.
Okay, new homeowners.
New homeowners
Yep.
after a long time. Last homeowners lived here.
All right. Well, welcome to Burlington. Okay, so John or Eileen, would you like to offer us some comments on the situation, both the violation that's under it and also the resource area involved?
Sure, it's going to be Eileen again. So we got a call from a neighbor that there was tree cutting occurring in an area that they knew was riverfront. So I went along and checked it out, and indeed, I can't remember the name of the company, Suarez, I think, had already taken down 5 or 6 trees around about 70 feet from the stream, which runs right alongside the property line at 23 Morrison. I asked them to stop. They did so. We contacted Ms. Levesque, and at that time I issued an enforcement order asking her to submit an RDA. At the time, I felt the enforcement order was in order because Miss Levesque and I had been in touch numerous times before she purchased the house, so she was aware that it was riverfront area and that she would need to do an RDA for tree cutting. So in fact, she did submit her RDAs, which I'll just share the plan now if that's going to work. Screen, okay. Are you seeing what the screen? Sorry, let me click on the Chrome tab. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
We don't see
Okay, so can you see it now?
We can.
Okay, so when I went out to the property, Suarez guys had already taken down, I think, this batch of trees here, so I couldn't tell what sort of shape they were in. They would like to take down quite a lot of other trees at the back and along the sides. And I don't really think anybody has any issue with the trees that are here that need trimming or removal that are pretty close to the house and to the power lines. But as I said, these ones were in the inner, all of the trees, in fact, on the side are in the inner riparian because the stream runs right along here. I don't know if you can actually see my cursor that I'm waving around. So I think I'll stop there and pass it over to the commissioners.
Okay, Eileen, do you have a recommendation on certain trees that perhaps should not be removed, or you want to see where the conversation goes?
I think I want to see where the conversation goes with respect to the rest of the trees being removed. We did draft a determination, and we are proposing that they do some replanting within the 20-foot, within 20 feet of the stream in compensation for the trees that either are cut or will be cut. And they should also move there are some piles of gravel that they've left right on the stream bank that need to be removed.
All right, so that's your recommendations.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's, Dawn, anything on this one?
We had a look yesterday, willing to work with the folks, and I think that what they're asking sounds reasonable.
All right, Gail.
So this is along riverfront. So we have regulations about no disturbance in riverfront, and it's important to maintain the vegetation in riverfront to help in terms of filtering runoff and also shading the stream, controlling temperature, and for lots of other reasons as well. Maintaining the bank, reducing erosion. So it would have been nice if before any work done that the commission actually would have gone out there so that we could have identified which trees were appropriate to cut. So it's a little confusing to me because on the plan, the color coding, everything that's in green is either not being cut, not being touched, or just being trimmed. So this plan, the only trees that are identified as being cut are the ones that were already removed with the X's, and the ones that are in brown, which are on the side and a few in the back. But according to this plan, none of those trees along the stream are designated to be cut. Is that correct?
Yeah, we weren't going to cut any along the stream.
Okay, because here so you've already taken out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe. Oh, so that's where your 19 comes. So there are a number of trees. I wonder if there was a reason why you're taking out so many trees on the property, because a number of trees in the back that are in the brown, they actually look like perfectly good oak trees. They don't look diseased or damaged or anything like that. And in the summertime, you may wish you had those trees. It can get pretty darn hot around here, and if you don't have any shade in your yard, it's not very pleasant. But still, we're so the entire property, is it in the riverfront buffer, Eileen?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's about 100 feet wide, so the whole thing is.
Yeah, so some of those trees that are in the back there, I would not be in favor of removing all of those that are marked, just because we are in that riverfront area. So that's how I feel. And I think there should be some plantings for the ones that were removed.
Okay, Bill?
Do you have the paper?
I agree with what Gail said. There's no need to cut down everything back there. The healthy hardwood should stay, regardless of their age. I mean, that's I think a valuable resource to have in that area, and some additional plantings to compensate for the stuff that's already been done. I think that would be the best we can get out of this.
All right, Jennifer?
I would agree with Bill and Gail's assessment as well.
Ed?
Agree, and basically those trees, from what I was looking at, they're not in danger of coming towards the house or anything like that. They all seem to pitch away.
All right, Kent?
Yeah, I agree with Bill and Gail.
Yeah, I too agree with Gail. Is there anyone in the audience for this that a neighbor perhaps or anybody has a comment? I guess there's nothing further. Okay, I guess we.
Excuse me. Sorry, a little late to the mute button. Brian and Amy brothers. We live at 20 Morrison Road, across the street from Chris and Leah.
Sure, go ahead.
I've owned this house since 2009. My family's owned it since 1966. So to say history in the neighborhood is probably fair. I don't know a whole lot about the trees. I mean, I'm not an arborist. I haven't been back there. I mean, I've been back there a lot in my life. I knew the old neighbors. I know the new neighbors. I'm a friendly guy. What can I say? But the one thing that stuck out to me is there was a tree probably real close to the bank that fell probably about a year or two ago during a storm, and it was a massive tree. And if it went the other way, it was going to take the whole house out. So seeing that and being a part of helping clean that up with the old neighbor, I can see their concern with having trees hanging over the house. And then, of course, the stream itself, I know there's questions there. And as a homeowner now, I'm starting to have my own questions about, what I can do, what I can or cannot cut, and, what kind of value my home is, the hit of my home is taking. So I guess to stay on the point of their house, I understand the concern, having been here and having seen trees fall into that yard several times, including recently. So I'd just like to add that on their behalf.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir.
Can I just say something?
Anyone else have a comment?
Sorry, it's Leah. It's the homeowner. We never meant to tackle this problem until next summer. We moved here in September, and it wasn't until the leaves were coming off of the trees and the windstorms that we heard branches come down on the house, and branches were falling all around the yard when my son was playing there. And that's what caused us, because it was supposed to snow the week after that we cut them down, and we just got too nervous about seeing all the branches come down.
Right. Understood. All right. So Ms. Levesque, what seems to be on the table is that you leave the trees in the back. People seem to agree with Gail's comments. And because you're cutting in a sensitive area that's regulated, it seems that people are suggesting there should be some compensation closest to the bank with some replantings. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yes, we
Send
do.
us a list with what you want us to plant.
Okay. Sounds like we have a plan going forward. Eileen, do you have a negative conditional determination to review and then vote on?
Yes, I do. Just in case I forget to say it in a few minutes, we still have to ratify the enforcement order as well as part of
All right.
this. Maybe we can do the two votes together.
All right. So why don't you review the draft, and we'll do everything all at once.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute. I can still hear the thing, but I'll have to depart for 1 minute.
Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody can see this. This is a negative determination, which we actually did distribute to everybody, including Leah. The applicant proposed to cut 19 trees, all within the inner riparian to a locally regulated stream. On December 15th, it came to the attention of the Burlington Conservation staff. The trees were being cut on the property, the work was halted, and an RDA was required. The RDA was filed on December 31st, 2020. The proposed work was located within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands and to bank, and within the 20-foot riverfront area of a Burlington regulated stream. For the purpose of this filing, the Commission made no determination as to the exact boundaries. The entire parcel, however, is within the 100 feet of the Burlington riverfront area. Commission is voting to issue a negative determination as noted in this decision, and the conditions are as follows. This decision is for work as outlined in the project description only, and no other work was reviewed or is being permitted by this decision. The applicant may proceed with tree removal. If removal of any other trees beyond those permitted by the decision is recommended, this will require additional approval from the Commission or Conservation Administrator and may require submission of a written assessment by a certified arborist that they pose a hazard or are in significant decline. I think we perhaps need to alter this one to say, applicant may proceed with tree removal except for trees at the back that are deemed to be healthy. Does that work for everybody? Generally.
Yes.
Okay. For tree removals or removals that are not feasible to do by hand machinery, such as a bucket truck or crane, shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas. The stumps of the trees shall not be removed without additional approval from the Commission or the Commission Conservation Administrator. The applicant is encouraged to leave snags, which is a portion of the trunk for wildlife habitat. And this part is highlighted just because we wanted to be able to discuss the numbers. We're proposing that the applicant shall plant 5 native trees and 10 native shrubs within 20 feet of the stream as mitigation for the removed trees. The exact locations of the trees and shrubs to be planted shall be determined in consultation with the Conservation Administrator. The specific species of native plants, trees to be planted shall be approved by the Conservation Administrator. Saplings shall be no smaller than 4 feet high. And then most of the rest of the conditions are as standard, which is to say, well, no, not this one, sorry. Existing yard waste and gravel close to the stream shall be cleaned up and removed. And any debris or sediment that fall shall not be dumped within 20 feet of the stream. Property owner shall be held responsible if any dumping is found within the resource areas. The standard ones are that pesticides and herbicides should not be used within 100 feet of the stream unless approved. Members of the Conservation Commission or their designated representatives shall have the right to enter upon and inspect the premises to evaluate compliance, and any non-compliance shall be deemed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act. So if everyone's in agreement, I will add that second half of the sentence into number 2 about except for trees along the back that are deemed to be healthy. Okay?
Okay. All right. So first of all, any questions or comments by the Commission?
So I just wanted to emphasize that in the that the contractor, whoever they get to do the other tree work, that there shouldn't be heavy equipment, that the work has to be done, correct, from the lawn, right?
I think that was in the conditions.
Right. Yep. I just want to emphasize that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Right. Any other commissioner, associate commissioner, or staff comments on this one?
I guess, I'm sorry, one last thing, that maybe John or Eileen, you could give them a list of native trees and shrubs?
We can definitely work with them for appropriate shrubs. In fact, I think the lady with from 174 Mill Street had a nice list. Maybe we could use.
Okay, Ms. Levesque, do you have any questions on what you've heard? You can always call the office anyway, but in case you have any questions.
Right. No, I think we do it this time. Leah's putting our son down, so this is Chris. Sorry. I think we're all set. We just need the list and then a location and a time that you'd like to have this done, and we'll get everything planted, and that would be fine. We agree.
Right. Well, in the middle of the winter, I don't think you'll be doing too much planting at the moment.
Yeah, I think they'll need to wait for the spring.
Correct.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that with them.
Yeah.
Staff can determine that.
Yeah, you'll contact the office and make the final details. All right. So if there's nothing further, I need a series of motions to votes. The first motion is we need a motion to ratify the enforcement order. Does the enforcement order say anything that's inconsistent with this? This RDA you just reviewed?
No, it does not. No, the enforcement
Okay.
order just asked them to submit an RDA, I believe.
All right. So is there a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 23 Morrison Road?
So moved, Ed.
Second.
Second, Bill.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The enforcement order is ratified by a vote of 6-0-0. All right, next, I'd like to have a motion to approve negative conditional determination as discussed and amended for the property at 23 Morrison Road under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act. Is there a motion?
Gail.
Second. Did someone second it?
Second, Don.
Thanks, Don. Okay, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail? Gail, is that a thumbs up? I think yes, it's a yes. I don't know, I don't hear her. Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That carries 6-0-0. So, Mr. and Mrs. Levesque, good luck with the remainder of your project, and have a rest of your evening. Good evening.
Thank you. You also.
All right, take care. All right, next is we have a request for determination that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting tonight. We act upon a request for determination filed by Rakesh Goel of 159 Mott Street, LLC. The commission will take all information relating to the proposed demolition of a house and construction of a new single-family house in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. This house that's being demolished is located at 47 Cresthaven Drive. After we talk about it a bit, we'll therefore issue a determination. The application's being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. And a copy, or if you have questions, you can email conservation@burlington.org in relation to this project. Is somebody here for this project?
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Rakesh.
Maureen, you're there. You can talk about that because I just came out of COVID last Sunday. So my voice is not that good today. So Maureen, you can go ahead and talk, please.
So
Okay.
This is Maureen Harold for Norse Environmental, and I'm here for this project.
All right, nice to see you both. All right, so Maureen, would you like to lead the discussion with a summary of what's going on here?
Sure thing. So the lot has an existing single-family dwelling. What we'd like to do is tear down that dwelling and build a new house and deck. The resource areas on site is a bordering vegetated wetland that's shown as the A series on the plan. The house is proposed 89.7 feet. The deck is proposed 97.1 feet from the wetland area. And thank you, Eileen. And I spoke to Eileen today, and I guess there was concerns about some of the wetland flags. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get out to the site, but my boss, Steve Erickson, was able to go out and review the line. And he had thought that some of these flags were torn down. He found some remnants of blue ribbon. But basically, it's at the base of the slope, and he just rehung some new flags out there just so everyone's aware that that is a resource area and it's flagged. So, and I can open it up to the commission with any questions.
All right, okay. Thank you for your comments. John or Eileen, you have comments to offer the commission?
I can't hear
Sorry,
Eileen.
I was still,
there she
I was
is.
speaking, I was still muted. Sorry about that. I was just going to say, oh yes, so when we were out with the commissioners yesterday, and we did indeed see the flags here along the wetland line. As Maureen said, it looked like either some were missing or some were moved. So Steve definitely put some more out today, which I think are maybe along here. We could see that there was a pool right in front of the wetland flags. Either way, the wetland line is definitely at least 80 feet from where Rakesh is proposing to build a house, although there's bound to be some earthwork involved with just getting the foundation in. There is a stream way back at the end of the property, I believe, but it's a very, very, very long property, so it's at least 300 feet away. So the only pertinent resource area is the buffer zone to wetland, and I don't have any issues with this house going in as proposed.
Eileen, for the commission's benefit, in order to approve this project, do we need to find the wetland line, or can the project be approved without finding the exact wetland line or agreeing to the exact wetland line?
We can approve it without agreeing to the exact wetland line. I think that's the way we've worked.
All right, so it's easier. That way it becomes a non-issue.
Right.
We got the exact placement of the flags. Is that okay with you, with the folks from the project?
Yes, that works.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's see if we have any further comment. Dawn, anything further?
Nothing further.
Gail, anything?
No, I'm all set.
Bill?
I think we should discuss having a fence along the 20-foot no disturb after the end of the project.
Okay. All right. Welcome to comment on that. Okay. All right, Jennifer.
I would agree with Bill, but nothing else to add beyond that.
Ed?
Just a small maintenance problem on the right-hand side and the side where the pool is. That right side of the pool got a lot of small debris. You just remove that so that the actual pool will be its full size.
Yeah, we can remove the debris. This is
Kent.
Nothing has been pointed out by the other commissioners.
What was that? I didn't catch it. No comment, you said?
Oh, I said nothing beyond that's already been pointed out.
Thank you, Kent. Okay, so before Bill said anything. Gail or Dawn, do you have any comment? Are John and Eileen, do you want to, do you have a comment on putting a fence in, given the project is so far away?
I think we actually had put that in as a condition. I was just having a quick look at the draft. But I have no issue putting it in.
Gail or Dawn?
Larry, it's far from the stream, but it's not far from the bordering wetlands.
Hang on, what was the wording?
So it's not so much the house location, it's the yard. I mean, the lawn does go up fairly close. The existing lawn does go fairly close to the wetlands. So you certainly wouldn't want that expanded any. So, I mean, I would agree with Bill.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree also. But just to be clear, that should be like a split rail fence or something like that. And then, and also related to the debris that needs to be cleaned out, that needs to be done by hand and not with any kind of machinery.
Right.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience for this? This is a property located at 47 Crest Haven Drive. I guess there is no.
One more comment, that given the irregular shape of that 20-foot no disturb line, the fence could be a straight line approximating, on average where the 20-foot is.
Right. Okay. If there's nothing further.
So Larry, I just have one thing. I'm sorry. That some of the debris we saw yesterday, John or Eileen, was that on this property or was it on the property next door? I mean, there was some, I can't even remember what it was, but there was stuff more than brush. There was actually some, human debris of, I forget what it was, building material, cars, something, I don't know. Which property was that?
So it's tough to tell where the property line was, but we can just say that anything on their lot needs to be cleaned up.
Okay, all right, that works.
Okay. Eileen, would you like to do a review of the negative conditional determination?
Yes, I will. And you guys can stop me if sorry, if you want me to add something in. Let me just share my tab. Okay. Sorry, let me scroll back up again. Google's being a bit slow. Okay, so I have to make a couple of fixes right at the very beginning because Rakesh pointed out that we had spelled his name wrong and his Mott Street LLC. So I will get that fixed before this gets issued. Sorry about that, Rakesh.
No problem.
Apparently I was adding extra ones in all over the place. John had to fix other things. Sorry about that. The applicant proposed to construct a new residence with an associated deck and driveway and to conduct earthwork, grading and landscaping within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Some of the proposed earthwork and part of the proposed building was located within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. Wetlands were flagged across the middle of the property and surveyed on to the reference plan. The closest point of the new house was approximately 90 feet from the BVW. The Commission was unable to officially approve the wetland delineation as several flags closest to the proposed work were missing when the Commission visited the site on January 13th, 2021. The Commission regulated the stormwater management of the proposed house construction in this determination of applicability under Burlington's Erosion and Sedimentation Control Bylaw. The Commission is voting to issue a negative determination for work at 47 Crest Haven under the following conditions. I'll skip through the ones that are standard. This decision is only for work outlined in the project description and nothing else. Prior to beginning any construction on site, sediment barriers shall be installed and inspected by conservation staff between the work area and the wetlands and across the frontage at Crest Haven Drive. We reserve the right to require additional erosion controls should that be deemed necessary. A fence or closely spaced line of shrubs shall be installed, I think we meant no closer than 20 feet from the wetland. All construction or demolition materials and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No tracking of sediments onto the public roadway shall be allowed, and any sediment that is tracked must be swept daily. There should be no filling or grading on the property beyond what is required for the approved work. The grade of the existing yard shall not be altered beyond what is shown in the approved plan and shall not increase the rate or volume of runoff, nor cause flood damage to the property of others. Rooftop runoff shall be infiltrated on the lot and not discharged into the roadway or adjacent lots. Method of infiltration shall be approved by the Conservation Department. Dry wells or infiltrators shall be appropriately sized with supporting calculations. If the driveway is to be replaced, the new driveway shall be pitched so that runoff from the driveway shall be directed to a stone infiltration trench or a trench drainage system or a grass swale, not to the street. Pesticides and herbicides shall not be used within 100 feet of the wetland. Members of the Commission and their designated representatives have the right to enter upon and inspect the premises. Non-compliance with these conditions shall be deemed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. And the last condition is about what is required for a full occupancy permit. Are there any questions?
Do you folks from the project have any questions? You can always ask after the fact too.
No.
Okay, these are pretty standard conditions anyway. All right, so the commissioners have any changes?
Nope.
No.
Hearing none, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project proposed at 47 Cresthaven Drive under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved. This is Jennifer.
Second.
Second, Ed.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The project, the request for determination passes by a vote of 6-0-0.
Great.
All right,
Thank
folks,
you
good
very
luck with
much.
your project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next is we have a public hearing, item number 7. Notice is hereby given that the commission will hold a virtual public hearing during which time we'll take information related to a notice of intent. This has been filed by the town of Burlington, DPW. It is the construction of a sidewalk at Terrace Hall Ave. The proposed work would be within the bordering land subject to flooding, riverfront area, and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. It's being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. The commission will be reviewing this information and thereafter may issue an order of conditions for the proposed activities. This application can be viewed online by going to the commission webpage, or you can ask questions by submitting to conservation@burlington.org. All right, so who do we have from the town on this one?
Good evening. It's Tom Hayes, town engineer, and I'm here with Megan
Good evening,
Cavalier.
Tom. Hi, Megan.
Hello.
So,
All right, the floor is yours.
all right. So Megan is a civil engineer, and she is the designer, and she'll be the project manager for this through construction. And I'm not going to steal too much of her thunder because she put together a presentation for us. But essentially, we're doing 1,500 feet of sidewalk, and it's completing a gap in the sidewalk network on Terrace Hall Ave between Lord Barron Drive and the newly constructed sidewalk by Fire Station 2. So this sidewalk's been on our radar for a while. It's been a priority with the sidewalk committee. It's been in front of the Board of Selectmen. Planning Board has talked about it and actually obtained some funding. We have some town meeting members who are very vocal and supportive of this, and we got some funding at town meeting. So we were going forward to construct this project this season, but we've accelerated it because MassDOT has a winter shared streets program, and it's a very quick and streamlined funding program. We have to complete the project within 90 days, which is pretty quick to bid and construct and complete a sidewalk. So Megan pretty much dropped everything. She jumped on this. She had it in the design process. We want to accelerate it. So hopefully we'll get some money. There's 3 different grants or rounds of grants, and we think we have a good proposal in with them. So we're just hoping that we get funded. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Megan. Megan has a presentation that goes through the details of the project.
Sounds great. Megan?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
Did it work? Can you see it?
It's coming up now. Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is for the Terrace Hall sidewalk project for this year. So here's the project location, and I will give you a closer up of that. So you can see that it goes from Lord Byron almost to the end of Terrace Hall. There's a new existing sidewalk that was done by the fire station when it was built. So here is the floodplain map. So you can see that there is a section that is within that floodplain. This is the national, endangered species map. So there is a concerned species. It is the bridal shiner fish, and that is in the river. So we're not actually touching anything in the river. So that is good because we won't actually be hurting their environment. So these are the existing conditions, and I'm just going to kind of go over what's here because there is a lot that we're working within. So here's the stream. This is the wetlands. Then we have the floodplain, the 100-foot buffer zone, and then this whole entire section is also within the 200-foot riverfront zone. And this is the other side of the project. It all didn't fit on one screen. So here's more of the wetlands, the floodplain, the buffer zone, and then the 200-foot riverfront zone. So we are working within a lot of it. A small section is not within that. So then our proposed conditions, we have the new sidewalk. Behind the sidewalk, we're going to have a stone trench that will be loam and seeded on top of it, and the sidewalk will be pitched towards it. That way, no runoff from the sidewalk will go to the street. It will all go and filtrate through that stone trench. And then we're going to have erosion control behind the sidewalk when we're actually doing the work. I know that it looks like we're working with inside the wetlands. When I measured it out in the field, it doesn't look like we're actually going to be in the wetlands, like removing the wetlands sources, but it does look like that in the plans. The measurements didn't come out that way, but I am aware of where they are. They're all marked. So this sidewalk is being replaced, and we also have to cross over a bridge. So that bridge has a guardrail, and we're also going to be putting a chain link fence behind that guardrail to keep it safer for pedestrians crossing, because we do not want anyone to fall over. This is the other side of the sidewalk. So the new sidewalk, the stone trench, the erosion control. This is a paved driveway that is a Tennessee gas line easement that they sometimes use. So instead of putting a sidewalk there in case they need to drive through it, we're going to pave that driveway. There is a handicap ramp, and then there is one tree that has to be removed. It's a 30-foot oak. There is just no way that we can go around it within the county layout and safely. There'd be too much fill, and it wouldn't create a good enough sidewalk. Plus, with the utility pole, there's just no way going around it. But out of the entire project, that's the only large tree that we have to actually remove. So here's the detail of the sidewalk, how it's pitched towards the stone trench. That stone trench is going to be wrapped in geotextile fabric to keep it safer and contained, and hopefully not touched by any sort of natural habitats that happen. And then it's going to be loam and seeded on top. The entire sidewalk is going to be done in concrete with granite curbing. This is the bridge. So the bridge is existing concrete sidewalk as is. We're going to just build on top of that to reinforce it with a bonding agent and then new concrete poured on top. As you can see, there's the guardrail, and a fence is going to be behind that guardrail just to prevent anybody from falling off or dropping something down it, and to keep anything from happening with that. And here's another example of that, where the guardrail is on top of the bridge and the chain link fence is behind it. So just to quickly kind of summarize all of that, there's 1,500 linear feet of sidewalk that's going to be pitched towards the stone trench rather than the road. For the bridge crossing, there's going to be a guardrail that's reinstalled. It's currently there. It's just going to be removed and put back in place once the new concrete is there. The chain link fence is going to be attached to the bridge, and anything that's old, corroded concrete, that will be power washed away and removed. And then there's going to be a bonding agent to connect the old and new concrete. And for stormwater, this trench is going to be behind the sidewalk where it's pitched towards it. It's going to be wrapped in geotextile fabric to keep it working properly. And the whole thing is going to be topped with loam and seeding. It's not something that needs to be touched and redone every year. It'll work and be safe for everybody.
Right.
And any questions?
All right. Well, Megan, that was a very good presentation, the way you did that, the logistics of it.
Thank you.
Very nicely done. John and Eileen, would you like to, they've kind of already summarized the resource areas involved and the way they did it. These
Sure.
additional comments, John or Eileen?
Okay. Yeah, I think Megan did a good job of explaining the project, the resource areas. So I'll just quickly explain the regulatory aspects of it. So you've got a lot of leeway on both on stormwater requirements and on riverfront requirements for a project of this type, which is basically just a sidewalk or a footpath. So the trench, I think, is more than enough for stormwater mitigation for the sidewalk, and the stormwater regulations allow you to allow something like that. And as far as riverfront, there's borderland subject to flooding. There's no impact, so there's no fill. So basically, there's no alteration of BLSF. There's obviously some impact to riverfront, but we did a site visit and tried to see if there was potentially any mitigation as far as plantings or whatever, but basically it's wooded right along up to the edge of the sidewalk, and there's not really any room for additional planting that I could see.
Very good. Thank you, John. All right, let's see if the commissioners have any questions or comments to discuss. Don?
I basically agree with what John just said.
Gail?
I agree that, there's not much that can be done to mitigate because of it. I mean, it's already pretty wooded, and it's kind of right up already to the edge of the road, so there's not much else you can do there. So I guess it's okay with me.
Bill?
You mentioned power washing of the eroded concrete and stuff. How do you do that and assure that none of that debris gets blown into the stream?
That would be something that I would work with the contractor with. I would have to look into that. I don't know enough about power washing, but most likely they would have to power wash into the street and then clean up what's in the street. That would most likely, hopefully, keep anything out of the stream.
Okay, and then I know it's not part of the project, but on the other side of the street from that bridge, there's a very eroded concrete, conduit of some sort. It looks like going across there. While you're there working, do you have any plans to take care of that at the same time?
Not at this time.
No, Bill, that conduit is not town owned.
Yeah.
Verizon has some conduit there, and there's also a gas line. The gas line is something that's not corroded, but that I noticed that Verizon line looks like that old Orangeburg pipe, and the stuff is completely unraveling. So we can make some contacts with Verizon to see if something that they can take care of, because it is in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, that would be great, because it's crumbling into the river, and it may end up presenting a hazard at some point.
Yep.
I just like to make a comment. I'm sorry, Larry. So first of all, I sure hope that's not a gas line that's hooked up with that strap in the eroding concrete. We were like looking for the duct tape. That really is a mess over there. So it's nice that you can look into it. It's ridiculous. But regarding the power washing, if they're power washing into the street, there's usually a lot of spray. Maybe you could see if there's some way that they, especially along the river, they could rig up a tarp that would, connect to the edge or something, so that any kind of stuff that was sprayed backwards would be deflected, just so that it doesn't end up in the river?
I can do some research to kind of see. This definitely isn't the first time that
Sure.
this problem has happened. I just don't know what the solution is, but I can do some research.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, Jennifer?
I don't have anything further to add, but I agree with the other commissioners' sentiments.
Ed?
No additional comments.
Kent?
No additional comments.
Tom and Megan, the only comment I would make is that work in the riverfront area usually requires some improvement. And as it's been said, there is not much opportunity since it's so well vegetated already. However, when I was walking along the length of it, of the sidewalk to your right, there is some vegetative areas that are actually have a fair amount of trash in them. Can the contract require, is it possible to add a line to the contractor as a task to ask them to pick that up for us? I would consider that an improvement, even though small as it is.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't see that being an issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would be, but if you could remember to put that in the contract and get them to do that, I think the commission would appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience for this? This is the proposed sidewalk on Terrace Hall Ave. Okay, I guess there's no one in the audience for this. So, what is your schedule? You're not ready to start the work over the next 2 weeks, are you?
No, we don't. We probably won't let them start until April 1st, but we're hoping to get it out to bid by the end of February, which means that I need to have everything ready and squared away by the end of January.
Sure. So the next meeting is January 28th. What that tells me is I see, unless our staff or the commissioners, associate commissioner object, I don't see any reason why we can't close and issue this permit at that time.
Okay.
I guess everyone agrees. They're silent. Okay. So, and I didn't hear any follow-up actions. John, is there any follow-up that's needed from these folks for the next meeting?
No, we don't need anything else.
All
We're
right.
good.
Again, very nice presentation, the way you did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening, folks.
So Larry, we need a vote to continue by roll call.
All right. Could I have a motion to continue the Terrace Hall Sidewalk project hearing to January 28th? Is there a motion?
So moved, Ed.
Second, Don.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This project is continued to January 28th agenda. We'll see you then.
All right. We'll see you then. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. And, next on the agenda, let's see. We have a continued public hearing. This is a continuation of a proposal to demolish a dwelling and construct a new family dwelling by Mr. Dan Murray. It's located at 11 University Ave. Someone here for that project?
Jonathan Schuster with Oxbow Associates.
All right, nice to see you.
Be back.
Do you folks have anything further you'd like to say? And then we'll go to the staff and so forth.
Sure. So David Romero's here too, the project engineer. We did have an updated plan that we had relayed to your office. I can share that if the commission wishes, or just very quickly summarize it. We added a trench and a slight pitch to the driveway, as we discussed.
You can share it. It only takes an extra minute to do that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And here we are. So this is the revised plan, and if you can see my cursor, we have a 12-inch stone trench proposed here along the northeast edge of the driveway, and a note to grade towards that drain. There was a concern in the last meeting about runoff from the driveway, so we addressed that. Another update is the post and rail fence that's installed along the limit of yard, more or less. You can see it here. It goes from the property bound and wraps around to the north over here. And we also added a note to the plan in the far bottom left about selective manual removal of burning bush, as I believe that was something that Gail brought up as a concern. So we can certainly remove beautiful specimens of that from the property, and we'll document that for you guys. And those are the main changes to this plan.
All right, thank you for the summary. John or Eileen, do you have any comments? Is there anything further that's required or questions that you have?
It's Eileen. No, I don't have any further questions. I think that they addressed everything that was raised in the previous meeting, the post and rail fence, an indication of which way the driveway will be pitching, and the driveway trench, removal of the burning bush. I think it was all covered, and I don't have any issues with this plan as now proposed.
Okay. Very good. All right. So any of the commissioners have anything further on this project? Or associate commissioner?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience has anything further on this project? Guess not. All right, Eileen, would you like to review the proposed permit for the project?
I can. Jonathan, can you stop sharing your plan so that I can share the, thank you very much.
Does anybody hear that clicking?
That's probably me and my mouse.
Too.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
Sorry, my screen is being a bit slow. Just take me a few seconds to open the page.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I'm circling.
Okay. So you're saying you're going
If I
around
can
in circles?
circle, I'm going to get John to share. I've got a little circle appearing. Oh no, I've got it here. I've got it here. Chrome tab coming up. Okay, we'll start with the order. Sorry about the delay. It was just taking a long time to decide to work. Okay, while this is happening, oh no, it says unable to reload the file. While it's reloading, I'll try and read through what we have there. So the beginning are the plan references, which were the existing condition plans, the proposed condition plans, and the stormwater calculation summary. The proposed condition plans was as reviewed. Oh my goodness. Now you're seeing a blank screen, right? was as described by Jonathan. This is still opening.
John, maybe you
As you know, the first several conditions are pretty much boilerplate. John, do you want me to? Oh no, here we go. Here we go. Can everybody see? Great. Okay, I can see it now. So this order permits work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. No work within any wetland resource area has been permitted by this decision. I'm going to skip through a few of these that are pretty much, as I said, boilerplate. If my Google will allow me to do so. No, it won't. Okay, we're trying again. We'll run down to number 28. The commission shall receive written notice by the applicant between 2 and 5 days prior to a commencement of any activity on site. Prior to commencing work on site, the proposed limit of work shall be clearly marked with stakes, markers, or flags, or the required settlement barriers. and the limit of work shall be reviewed in the field with conservation staff. The applicant or contractor shall meet with staff to review this order of conditions and shall look for a few things. Has filed a list of relevant names and phone and proof that the surety has been paid. In addition, we'll be checking at that time for the DEP file number and additional erosion controls. Sorry about my Google, everybody. John, do you think you could prepare to share the bylaw just in keep people? Can everybody?
Just tell me when.
In Herman.
Your connection, unfortunately, is breaking up, Eileen. You may have to re-log in.
Hello? Eileen, I can share if you stop sharing, I guess, maybe. Eileen.
Can anybody still hear me?
Not well.
I'm sorry.
Eileen, I can hear you fine. There's just a lot of this thumping in the background. I don't know where it's coming from.
Well, it's not from here. I'm sorry. My computer just turned black for a second, and I thought I had lost power or something. I don't know if you can still see my screen, but I'm going to attempt to finish reading. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides shall not be used within 100 feet of the wetlands, and this condition shall be noted on the certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. Rooftop shall be and driveway runoff shall be managed as shown on the approved plan, and responsibility for these structures is with the property owner, and this condition shall be noted in the certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. A post and rail fence shall be installed approximately 20 feet from the BVW line as shown on the reference plan. The new fence shall not have gates, and this will be noted. The demarcation shall be maintained in perpetuity and noted in the certificate of compliance. And the areas behind that demarcation fence shall then be left as naturally vegetated and shall not be maintained as lawns or landscape areas. I don't know if I'm still sharing, but I'm going to propose that John Keeley shares the next part. And he is. Can everybody see John's bylaw?
Yes, I can see John's bylaw.
Okay, I'm going to continue speaking unless somebody else starts to talk instead. A notice of intent was filed for the demolition of an existing single-family residence and shed and construction of a new single-family dwelling deck and associated grading and utilities, widening of the existing driveway within the 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetlands. The notice of intent and bylaw application was filed on November 25th, and the rest is the filing history. The plan document references as I mentioned in the order of conditions. The proposed house was within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The closest point of the proposed new dwelling was approximately 48 feet from the BVW, and the existing house was 39 feet from the BVW, so they're moving a little bit further apart. The Commission finds that this project is exempt from Massachusetts stormwater management regulations as it is a single-family project. The applicant proposed to infiltrate the new rooftop area into 4 dry wells, and the driveway will be pitched to a stone infiltration trench. In addition, erosion and sedimentation controls will be implemented during construction, minimizing any impact to the resource areas and Burlington's municipal stormwater system. This permit shall also serve as a permit under the Burlington's erosion and sedimentation control bylaw. The rest of these are as standard, and I believe we are proposing to apply a bond in the amount of $2,500 for the length of the project.
All right. Is anybody else still this static?
This is terrible.
Eileen, could you mute for a minute?
I will.
All right. Eileen, you may want to log off and then re-log on. The static was pretty bad at least on my end it was. All right, so any of the commissioners have any comments on that order of conditions to the extent that you could hear it?
No issue.
All right, there's nothing further. All right, did I ask for any public comment on this earlier? All right. So is there anyone, in case I didn't, is there anyone in the public who wants to comment on 11 University Ave? All right, if there's nothing further, John, do you have anything more on this one?
No.
All right. Therefore, could I have a motion to close the hearing for the project at 11 University Ave? It's DEP file number 122-651.
So moved, Gail.
Second.
Second.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes. Yes.
Bill? Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The hearing is closed by a vote of 6-0. Could I have a motion to approve the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-651?
So moved, Gail.
Second. All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Findings are approved. A vote is 6-0. All right. Could I have a motion to issue the permit under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act for a DEP file number 122-651, which is 11 University.
So moved. Bill.
Second.
Second, Ed.
All right. Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
I've got
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The permit is approved for a vote of 6-0. Could I have a motion to require the posting of surety in the amount of $2,500 under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for DEP file number 122-651? Your motion?
So moved, Ed.
Second.
Second, Don.
How do you vote?
Yes.
Yeah. Gail? It's a yes. Got it. All right.
I click it too quickly.
Are they not here?
Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed, shake your head.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And the chair votes yes. A request to post $2,500 surety for the project is approved by a vote of 6-0. Okay, is there anything more on this project for 11 University Ave? Anybody have any further comments? If not, have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Good luck with the project. Okay, so next we have a new public hearing. Notice is given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing on January 14th, during which time we will take information related to a notice of intent. It was filed by the Nordblum Development Company for the reconstruction of a parking lot at 60 Blanchard Road in Burlington. The proposed work would be within riverfront area and a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland. This hearing is The commission will be reviewing all information presented under this application and may issue an order of conditions and a wetlands permit for the project. The application material is available by going to the conservation website. And if you have questions or comments, submit to conservation@burlington.org. Okay, so who is here representing the project at 60 Blanchard Road?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. First of all, Happy New Year. For the record, Robert Buckley, Reamer and Bronstein. I have with me this evening from my office, Christine Hung, who represents the tenant, Todd Nordblum from the Nordblum Company, and Todd Fremont Smith, and Patrick O'Neill, also from the Nordblum Company. A little history. This site was previously occupied by Datacon for many, many years. The Nordblum Company, a few years ago, purchased this property. While Datacon was in there, it was pretty much left. There was very little exterior investment made in the site in terms of the building as well as grounds. When Nordblum purchased it, they sought to reposition the property, and they have been approached by a tenant, which is a life science company that will occupy the site. 96% of the work that is being done to the building or done to the site is internal. There's very little external work being done. But as prepping the site for their occupation, it was decided to do some remedial work to the driveway. Unfortunately, the contractor didn't do the remedial work, just removed the driveway. As the commission knows, we approached the commission to ask for an enforcement order so that we could stabilize it by putting down a binder coat, with the understanding that we would be in to file a notice of intent. And as part of that notice of intent, to make some stormwater improvements, which otherwise probably would not have been required because it was essentially a repositioning of the internal of the building. But we dealing with the commission staff, and we decided to proceed along those grounds or that manner. So we're here tonight with the notice of intent. I have Marissa Valentino from BSC, who will walk the commission through the proposed improvements to be made as part of this notice of intent filing. Marissa?
Sure, thanks, Bob. For the record, Marissa Valentino with BSC. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so as Bob mentioned, the site is located at 60 Blanchard Road. This is the site highlighted in purple. And this is just a slide showing an aerial overview. This is the proposed use, clean rooms on demand at 60 Blanchard Road, which will be the interior improvements. This is another view of the site and the parking. So the existing conditions, as mentioned previously, the existing building will remain. The parking lot is a long linear parking lot, a long driveway. It is bound by bordering vegetated wetlands along a majority of the western side of the site. There is some riverfront area adjacent to Blanchard Road. So in the proposed conditions, this is the same building. The parking lot is replaced and curb is added to both sides. There was previously no curb. In addition, this area up here is a cogeneration facility, and associated with this building, there's approximately 1,200 square feet of new impervious area. We're able to mitigate for that by removing parking along the southern portion of the driveway. The stormwater improvement. Excuse me. There's an existing double catch basin about halfway down the driveway that is connected to this existing culvert that runs under the driveway. We are proposing to replace that double catch basin, which does not have a sump, is an older catch basin, with a drain manhole, install a water quality unit and a double catch basin with a deep sump and hood upstream. In addition, at the southern side of the site, we'll be installing a swale with a curb break. Any additional water that doesn't have a chance to infiltrate within this swale will be captured in the catch basin with a deep sump and hood and pass through a water quality unit and exit out to the wetlands. Both of these drainage improvements utilize the existing connections to the wetlands. And that is really the bulk of the improvements. There is also, I mentioned the cogeneration facility, and there's also a new gas line associated with the project that will run up the driveway. But that will be within this paved areas. So with that, if there's any questions?
All right, very good. Thank you for the presentation. First, we'll call the flow of the rest of this hearing. We'll call on our staff, and then we will call on the commissioners and see if there's anyone in the audience. And we'll make note of any questions that need, unless it's something really quick, probably a written response for the next meeting, if there is anything. So either John or Eileen, do you have some comments on this project?
Sure, I do. So Bob and Marissa gave a pretty good explanation of what this is all about. The commission consistently requires stormwater improvements when there's a parking lot reconstruction, a full depth reconstruction, which is what this was. So they don't typically require a project to meet stormwater standards to the to the full extent, but certainly they're looking for improvements to the stormwater quality. So I think that this project does that between the two water quality units, and also, more importantly to me, the swale. So that's the sort of improvement you're looking for when you get a parking lot reconstruction. So the commission did a site visit out there. One thing that we've sort of let slide for way too long, there was another violation on site with some vegetation cutting, which we'll incorporate in the order of conditions, prohibitions on cutting. I'm not really sure if the vegetation was cut after Nordblom bought it, or if, I'm not sure of the timing of when the sale took place, but sometime either in the spring or last fall, there was woody debris cut within the wetlands. So we will be incorporating conditions prohibiting that going forward. And the other thing on site that we noticed was that as part of the binder, a Cape Cod bituminous berm was put in, and they're notoriously not very durable. They don't handle snow plowing very well. So I think the commission should request the applicant to look at an alternative, either concrete or sloped granite. I wouldn't recommend vertical granite here because of salamanders and turtles and whatnot in the area. That's about it.
All right. Thank you for the comments, John. All right. So let's start. Don, any comments or questions at this point?
No, not at this time.
Gail, do you have comments or questions?
So I think John picked up on all the points that we noticed out there in terms of the curbing, and then also the cutting of vegetation. And also it looked like there was some fill or some type of debris at one of the ends of the driveway near the wetland. That's all I have.
Okay, so fill at the end of the driveway. Okay. We have next is Bill.
Okay, I'm looking at the driveway. Looking at this drawing, let's assume you're going up the driveway. The very first parking space on the left, just after the swale, yes. My vision of this is water's going to run down the hill, and isn't it going to end up in that parking space and not, some of it, and intend to spill over right there? What's to prevent it from doing that? Why is it going to go down to the curb cut?
If I can just explain, the site grading will be directed to allow the water to directed to the double catch basin, and then we'll artificially put a high point in this corner to make sure that water makes it around the corner to the swale and to this catch basin.
Yeah, it looks like a natural weakness in the flow design there if you don't do that. So, okay. Great. And my other question is there a dumpster or any kind of trash on this at the upper end near the building?
I believe all trash is internal. I know some of the.
I believe Marissa that at the planning board, the discussion was all trash is bagged and removed daily, or it's very controlled because it's going to be a regulated facility from the federal and state regulations.
Okay, so it could be some kind of hazardous material or biological waste or whatever there. Okay, I think that is all that I have.
All right, thank you, Bill. Jennifer?
I have nothing more to add. Thank you.
Ed, anything further?
Yes. Prior to all this work to make this basically a parking lot, it was a driveway. Very little parking was there. Now that you have parking on both sides, where's the snow going to be plowed to?
So the intent is to section off an area of spaces on the eastern side, about 10 spaces, to store the snow that is adjacent to upland areas. So there's a little space in here that is in between the two wetland resource areas. So it would be in these spaces.
Not going to be plowed on the upper side into the rough and the drainage that's there.
Correct. Yeah. No, it will keep it away from the swale and the wetland resource areas.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment on that?
Please do.
Ed, just for your information, the approved site plan for this site that exists today had the parking as pretty much shown on this plan going all the way down. Datacon had not either had striped it and had worn off, or it just was never striped appropriately. So we're just recreating what is on the approved site plan with the town's records.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Kent, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right. Folks, I have a couple of questions that occurred to me just now. Are there other catch basins besides the ones that are being rehabilitated that are being in other parts of the parking lot?
There are no other catch basins now.
All right. So
existing condition, everything there is no curb out there, and so everything was running directly into the wetlands. So the idea is to grade everything towards this double catch basin and the swale catch basin combination to be able to treat all that stormwater.
What would your comment be if I said perhaps some spot grades are needed? You have that high point down at the end to go around a corner. Do you plan to show spot grades at all?
Yes, I mean, we can add some spot grades.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay. We talked about, you verbally talked about the location for the snow or where it would be designated. Can you designate that on a plan, or have you already done that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's great too. And as you go up the driveway on the right-hand side, there is a feature that's, it's not really a stream. It's sort of like a drainage area, as you know, runs down the length of the driveway, at least from halfway down all the way towards the end. When I was looking at it, I had the feeling that there was a lot of debris and blockage in that drainage feature or swale. I don't want to call it a stream because I don't think we're calling that a stream, but I would think you would want to clear that out, because in really severe water conditions, I think you're going to have water overflowing those areas because of those blockages on the right-hand side at various points, and you might have a whole sheet of ice and a kind of a mess on the driveway. Do you have any comment on that, or any of the commissioners notice that? When I did when I was there.
Yes, I did too. And there's a conduit that goes under the driveway area also. That's blocked.
So I think it's in your interest, actually, to clear that out so you don't have that condition of severe icing across the driveway.
Yeah, Larry, I think as the final code and the work is being done, that could be addressed.
That would be great, Bob. Thank you. That's all I have. Is there anyone in the audience for this that has a comment? 60 Blanchard Road. Anybody online that wants to make a comment? All right. Should we go over the list of what I heard and you folks can add to it? Does that sound good, Mr. Buckley?
I think that's a good suggestion.
All right. The first thing is there's some vegetation cutting, but I think we're going to work with you folks and the commission, and we're going to put some conditions in that deals with that. So I'm not sure anything further is needed from that down at the lower end there, where the vegetation cutting was there. I just adding it to the list of something that needs to be dealt with. Then there's let's see. We talked about the curb cut. You're going to put that on spot grades. You're going to put it on the plan to make sure you get the driveway graded the way it should be. And we talked about the curb. That bituminous curve is notorious for breaking down pretty quickly after the first few snow plows. I guess we're looking for
we'll take a look at that. I think the appropriate location is on, let me get this straight, is it the westerly side of the driveway?
Yeah, everything kind of drains from north to south and also from east to west, so towards the larger wetland area on site. So in our opinion, it would make the most sense to put it along the western edge.
John, do you agree with that, or you want to think about it, or Eileen?
So the water, the problem is we don't want curbing in the wetlands. So if it's on the eastern edge, and if the bituminous on the eastern edge gets plowed into the wetlands, the water may not flow, into the wetlands, but the bituminous curbing still ends up in the wetlands. So
we're aware of your recommendation of an alternative material, so we'll take a look at that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, we talked about the spot grades. Also, you're going to add some designation on one of the plans or a separate plan, whatever your choice is. Anything else? I don't think I had anything else. Oh, there's fill at the end of the driveway. I think it's on the east end. Is that correct? At the bottom there?
Right by the road.
So something we need something from you folks to just address that. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, understood. We'll look at that.
All right. You folks have anything else on the list?
I've had discussions with staff, so I think nothing there surprises us, but we think we can address all of that and have a plan to you shortly and hopefully make this a better site.
Sounds great. John or Eileen, do you feel that we can wrap this up at the next meeting? Didn't look like there was a lot of issues here.
No, definitely. We can have a draft ready for the next meeting.
So unless the commission opposes it, we'll close an issue on January 28th.
Thank you very much.
All right. Could I have a motion from the commission to continue this hearing at 60 Blanchard Road to the January 28th agenda? Is there a motion?
So move, Bill.
Second?
Move. Second, Ed.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. By a vote of 6-0, this hearing is continued to January 28th. So we'll see you folks then.
Thank you for your consideration. But you're going to see us. You're going to see us right now.
I know. Don't go away. Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is item 10. It is a public hearing. Notice is given. The commission will hold a virtual public hearing, during which time I will take information related to a notice of intent filed by the Nordblom Development Company for the construction of a multifamily residential building with associated parking and utilities at 174 Middlesex Turnpike and 2 and 4th Ave. The proposed work would be within the bordering land subject to flooding, riverfront area, and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. The commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and Burlington Wetlands permit for the proposed project. The application is available by going to the conservation website, and there's a link there. Comments and concerns can be expressed through email at conservation@burlington.org. Okay, hello again.
Good evening. Again, for the record, Robert Buckley, Reamer and Bronstein. I have with me this evening Christine Hung from my office, and Todd Nordblom, Todd Fremont Smith from the Nordblom Company, and Marissa also. This is in connection with the development of the first phase of the residential component approved by town meeting of about a year ago. I will turn it over to Marissa because this is a very interesting site with some innovative and creative approaches. So, Marissa, still on? Yep.
Yes, I'm here. So thanks, Bob. Hello again, Marissa Valentino, CSC. We're here to talk about the 4th Avenue housing project at Northwest Park. This is just the project team. So as you're aware, this aerial shows the site location in proximity to Northwest Park. It's located on the northern side, adjacent to Lifetime Fitness, just down the street from Wegmans and 3rd Ave. So here's a site aerial to give you a better idea of what is on the site right now. The site is home to the former Building 15. There's an access drive on the western side of the site that was constructed as part of the Lifetime Fitness project. And there's paved parking areas that surround the former building. So here's an existing conditions plan. The wetland resource areas on the site include 200-foot riverfront area, which is located along Middlesex Turnpike, a small area in the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. Both the riverfront area and the wetland buffer zone are for resource areas on the other side of Middlesex Turnpike. There's also bordering land subject to flooding located throughout the site. I'll be going into more detail on that later in the presentation. So the site was previously before you in 2016. This view just shows the previously approved office building. This is a view from Middlesex Turnpike. And on this graphical depiction, it's showing the proposed residential building in red with the proposed office building in black, just so you can get a good idea of how this project relates to the previously approved project. Pretty similar layout. This project actually increases the buffer a little bit along Middlesex Turnpike and also includes a small retail building. Here's a rendering of the proposed office design. This is from the same view from Middlesex Turnpike as that previous slide for the office building. And this is looking at 4th Ave. So what you're seeing is the small 1.5-story retail building at the corner of 4th Ave and Middlesex Turnpike, and some existing trees that we're hoping to save as part of the project. Here's a view of that access drive that was constructed as part of Lifetime Fitness. As you can see, in the center of the screen is looking at Lifetime. The residential building, proposed residential building, is on the right side, and a potential future building is on the left. That is not part of this project. It's just for planning purposes.
Marissa, can I just interrupt for a second? Could you go back to that?
Yeah.
One of the things that for the commission we're very excited about with this project, you notice the expansive green being constructed as part of this project right outside of the entrance. The intent being keeping things internal through the site. So this is off the main drag, Middlesex Turnpike, but internal to the site. But it will be an activated internal green that ultimately will face the other building will front on it also. So it creates a sense of place. But I know Todd Fremont Smith was very excited about it, and I know I'm very excited about it also. Thank you.
Yeah, and here's another view of the landscape site plan showing that green area that Bob was just mentioning. Again, this is still sort of under design, but the intent is to keep it a green space and open to the public. The residential building is approximately 250,000 square feet. The ground level has parking. The building has 2 courtyard areas shown here and here. And there's a 3,500 plus or minus square foot retail building located at the corner of 4th Ave and Middlesex Turnpike. There's enhanced landscaping throughout the site. These sort of larger trees are existing trees that we were hoping to be able to save as part of the project. The landscape buffer along Middlesex Turnpike was designed to be a similar treatment to Bancroft. It's actually a little bit wider, so we might actually have some more plantings incorporated. And it will include some planting, screening, and decorative walls. The next 3 slides are just a couple of pictures of that landscaping along Bancroft, just to show you how well it has grown in and how successful that area's landscaping is. So this is in 2017, 2018, and 2019. So it's really grown in to screen that existing parking. And now to segue back to the floodplain. So as I mentioned before, the site is located, has bordering land subject to flooding. It's located approximately here. Potential floods would come from the north across Route 3 and move south. This flood has multiple elevations, shown as these little squiggly lines on the FEMA map, as the grade drops from north to south. So this is an overlay of the survey of the site that depicts the existing floodplain areas and based on the actual on-site elevations. So this larger white portion that you're noticing that is not included in the floodplain areas is where the former building was. So it's set above the floodplain. That's why it's not included. And the elevations, the floodplain elevations, are 131 on the northern side and taper down all the way to 127 at Middlesex Turnpike. Here's a plan showing the proposed floodplain. So what these colors represent is the compensatory storage at each elevation. So per the Wetlands Protection Act, we are meeting the existing flood storage on a foot-by-foot basis. So the lower elevations up to elevation 129 are compensated for in this existing parking area, and elevations 129 to 130 and 130 to 131 are provided compensatory storage within the garage. So these white areas you see within the building are left out of the flood storage numbers because they are set higher. This is the lobby area, this is an entrance, and this is utilities and stairwell. What the intent is to do is to slope the garage slab basically from this line right here from north to south. What this will allow is it will allow the floodwaters to enter the building. There'll be grates along the sides, so the floodwaters will be able to freely enter the building and then recede slowly as the floodwaters naturally do. It's intended to mimic the existing potential floods that are out there. There's here's a photo of what that access grate could look like. These access grates would be located on the west, south, and east walls. And again, that's to mimic where the existing flood would come down, running down 4th Ave, filling up the building, and then receding. There would be approximately a foot since the floor is sloped, there'd be approximately at most 1.5 feet of water within that garage. And that would be located along this area. Along this building wall, everything is located at elevation 129, and that is to allow the floodwaters to enter the building. Those grates are approximately 2.5 feet high. And here's a chart just showing the incremental flood storage. As you can see, we're increasing it in every elevation, except for the 125 to 126, and that is because that area is remaining untouched on the site. We are not touching that area. So for stormwater management, the entire stormwater management system will be fully upgraded. At the top part of the plan right here, there's a connection into the existing 4th Avenue drainage system. This is a drain relocation for an existing connection that runs down and would run through the building. All paved areas will be captured in catch basins with deep sumps and hoods, passed through water quality units. The eastern side of the site, paved areas would enter the subsurface detention system, along with about 1/3 of this garage roof and then the retail building. The subsurface detention system would store the water and let it out slowly into this existing municipal drainage system. Due to high groundwater on the site, infiltration is really not feasible, so this will be a precast concrete structure. There is a requirement to recharge 10% above existing as part of the PDD. As you recall, as part of the 3rd Avenue infiltration system, an excess of recharge was provided at that project. So we're able to meet the recharge requirement by using a portion of that recharge that was constructed as part of 3rd Avenue. For utilities, there'll be upgraded sewer, water, electric on site. And with that, I will ask if there's any questions.
All right. Well, I think there's a lot here. So let's first go with our staff and see if they have any comments or concerns or questions so far.
Okay, so Larry, so even though this is a notice of intent, your focus should really, the riverfront area and the buffer zone are really fairly insignificant on this project. They're not really doing much work there, and the resource areas are across 6 lanes of traffic on, across Middlesex Turnpike, 4 lanes of traffic. So the focus of your review really needs to be for 2 things. The floodplain, making sure that the floodplain compensation, the volume is correct and that the water can flow unimpeded, and for stormwater management. We tried to see if they could do infiltration on this site, and apparently, I don't know if Marissa just said that, but there's groundwater level issues with shallow groundwater, which seem to prohibit their ability to infiltrate on the site. So those are the 2 things to focus on: the BLSF, bordering land subject to flooding, and the stormwater.
Okay. Well, let's same procedure as the last project you folks were here for. We'll make note of comments and questions, and we'll review it at the end. So why don't we start perhaps with Ed? Why don't we see if anything? I think we'll have some other opportunities to question things, but why don't we go in reverse order? Ed?
It's kind of difficult to really, figure out to find something wrong, find something you want to question. I guess the one thing that stands out is the floodplain. You're actually putting in what I would call great grid work going around it. How high is that off the ground to the top of it?
Sure. So the grates are about 2 to 2.5 feet high. So they're at the base of the building. The intent is to just allow water to flow freely into them. So when we are looking at the grate area, we make sure to provide 1 square inch per square foot. So 1 square inch of grate area per square foot of storage in order to ensure that connection is unrestricted.
Any idea how long that metal would last?
I don't know. I mean, I know. So this photo is from a project I worked on in another town, and it's been there for about 10 years. I'm sure the metal would.
What stands out?
You know, as part of the, as part of the operation and maintenance plan, we can make sure to include the grates that somebody is checking them once a year to make sure that they are the metal is holding up.
Okay. I can't really comment on anything else right now.
Okay, Jennifer?
I don't have any other comments at this time. I think it is a lot to go through, but I'm sure other commissioners will have some things to bring up.
All right, let's see if we have anything at this point. Bill?
Yeah, I have a number of questions. The first one, you mentioned the flood storage under the building and that the other flood storage would be in the parking area. So that means it would be above ground in the parking area, it would be on top of the parking?
Sure, yes. So this area in the parking area is all utilizing the surface parking lot, with the exception of this retail footprint, which has been set above the flood elevation.
Okay, so in maximum flood situation, the parking lot would be flooded and the building would be above the flood water. Okay.
The retail, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I think I heard you say 1/3 of the roof was going into the detention system. Where's the other 2/3 going?
So the other 1/3 of the roof is going into the detention system. The other 2/3 is directly connecting into the municipal system. When we looked at the peak flows, we were able to send some of this roof clean water directly into the municipal system.
Okay. And then a related question, on the drawing above the building there's a water quality, catch basin number 6 and water quality unit number 4. So the catch basin goes to the water quality unit, and then where does it go from there?
There's an existing drain line located in this access drive, and it will enter the drain line and travel to the south, and then eventually connect into the drainage system in 4th Avenue.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Similar to the previous building, I don't see any trash dumpsters. How is trash handled in a large residential building like this? Are there external trash dumpsters or what?
I'm happy to jump. Yeah, happy to jump in on that. So the trash is handled with an interior trash room. On this plan, it's shown on the bottom, or the east elevation, where it kind of bumps out there. And so there will be vertical trash chutes as well as recycling chutes. There will be compactors inside the building. Those will be taken on wheeled totes that are pulled out to the curb, which you can see is indented there in front of the trash room, or just below the plan, where there will be periodic pickups, probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay, so there's no external storage in dumpsters or anything like that?
Correct. It's brought out the morning of the pickup, in our minds, as close to the pickup as we can get it.
Okay, in a big picture question here, I mean, this obviously you mentioned fits within the PDD stormwater recharge plan. Is this the final piece to that, or is there still capacity available for other development?
for development, for recharge, there is still a little bit of capacity in that existing Third Ave recharge system. For development, I'll defer to Todd.
Yeah, and well, recharge, it does fit, and certainly for total FAR, we have more room to grow.
Okay.
This fits within the PDD.
Yeah, the planning board requires us to maintain records, so we have a running total of where we stand with respect to capacity.
Okay, but this fits in with room to spare, you're saying, which is good.
Yes, it definitely fits inside the PDD.
Okay. Last question I have is talk to me about how green the building is going to be and how close to net zero are we possibly going to get with it?
So we are committed to a LEED sustainable design, a LEED certifiable design. We're looking into, and we should be able to commit to photovoltaics on the roof that would run most of the common areas of the building, the hallways and such, parking lot lighting. We're going to make this as green as we can, and we can report back to you in more detail at the next hearing.
Terrific. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, I have one more question before you go on.
Yeah.
It probably can't be said now, but it might be something that I'd like to hear about in the future as we get further on. Snow removal from the standpoint of storage and where you're going to put it. There should be some sort of destinations around where that's going to happen.
Sure, we can look at some areas and submit a plan.
All right, we'll put it on the list, Ed, and go over it at the end.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gail.
Okay, so Bill covered most of the things. Thanks, Bill. So I guess if you're planning on doing photovoltaics, then a rain garden wouldn't be something that would be appropriate for the roof of this building. But are you planning to using under the solar devices kind of a white reflective roof?
I believe so. T2 can correct me, but I do believe we're using white roofs on these buildings.
Okay, and then related to the the grates that allow for flood waters to go through, those of course, are they in the areas where there is any vegetation or anything growing around the building?
So they'll be located along the west, south, and a portion of the east wall. There will be some smaller vegetation. We certainly are going to try to screen them, but also not block them off and still provide that unrestricted connection.
Yeah, so I think I'm sure that will be in your O&M plan, but those will just have to be maintained so they don't get clogged with mulch or trash that falls behind vegetation, stuff like that. And then this green space that you're planning for, it would be nice if that was something other than a large lawn. There's some nice, kind of examples. If you think about like the native planting areas of the Rose Greenway downtown, where you could have pollinator gardens and native plants and things. Lawns take up a lot of chemicals, take up a lot of water, and don't provide a whole lot of benefit.
Gail, I look out over the Rose Kennedy Greenway and I'm looking at it right now. So
That's a great area. It's kind of a great escape in the city because you walk along there and there's all kinds of great plantings and you don't feel like you're just in a vacant wasteland.
I'm convinced I'm going to be picked up for vagrancy someday because I sit out there.
That's enough, Bob. That's enough.
Nice place.
Okay, Gail.
We'll look at that. We'll look at that in more detail. But we do think it's an area where people could go for concerts and outdoor movies. But I hear your point. It's a good point. We don't like to be irrigating acres of British grass seed. So we'll take a look at it.
And Todd, I think your kind of goals of these things are great, but I kind of heard those goals when we talked about that 3rd Avenue space, and I don't hear of too much going on there.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll update
Wayne
you.
thought the same thing, that there was going to be all kinds of civic things going on, and
Well,
you know,
we'll update
people
you at the
crossing
next
from story
hearing.
to story.
We'll update you.
Okay.
Don?
I have nothing further to add to the list.
Kent, anything to add?
Nothing this time.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions. The first question is the floodplain, does it flood and recede in the same direction it does now? Or are you changing the direction of the floodplain? I heard you say it's unimpeded, but does the floodplain go in the same direction it does now?
Yes. So our intention is to make this flood storage in the building and on the site function exactly as it does now. So the floodwaters come down 4th Ave, kind of fill up a portion of this space, as you can see here, and then recede the same way. So although it's a slightly different configuration of shape, we maintained this edge along 4th Avenue as well as and that's where the floodwaters are coming from, 4th Avenue. So this whole area is lower in order to allow those floodwaters to flow in.
Okay, and could you explain how on the existing site the stormwater is being discharged? In other words, are you changing the very nature of how the stormwater is being discharged compared to the existing site?
Short answer, no. Longer answer is we are reusing some of the existing connections into 4th Avenue and the municipal system. So there is, to the stormwater slide, there is an existing connection located right along here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, just north of the retail building. And there's also an existing connection here, which takes a majority of this driveway. So we are reusing those existing connections, and we ran the stormwater and made sure to decrease it or match the peak flows from the existing to proposed.
So you're not fundamentally changing the nature of where the water, how it discharges?
Correct.
Okay, good. That's the answer. Thank you. The last question is I have to ask you a question first before I ask the real question. Are you making some type of a connection to Lifetime Fitness as an amenity to the people that live here?
Yes, we're working with Lifetime. They have we gave a much more detailed explanation on the planning board hearing last week, but Lifetime has a concept called Lifetime Living, Larry, that they're rolling out across the country, and they're partnering with us here on this site. So this will be a Lifetime Living multifamily residential development that we will co-manage, and Nordblom will be a joint venture partner and stay in this long term. And yes, every apartment in this building will get automatically one free pass to Lifetime Fitness next door. And so we're just trying to create sort of a wellness neighborhood in this corner of the park.
Yeah, what I'm really asking is part of the project connecting a walkway to Lifetime Fitness of some sort, or have you contemplated that?
Yeah, we've been looking at improving the sidewalk connectivity between the two. It's something that Lifetime does not develop, or is not interested in pursuing these opportunities, I think, more than 500 feet away from their gyms. So having that pedestrian connectivity is something that we are focusing in on.
So the idea is that the people, the sort of west entrance or the leasing lobby of the building will be at the top of the plan here. And then people will come out and take a right and walk towards Lifetime Fitness.
All right. Well, the reason I'm asking is perhaps a little bit more relevant to conservation than you may realize. I don't know if this is possible, but I'd like to throw out this as a potential challenge for you to look at. On the north side of, I mean, probably well aware, on the north side of Lifetime Fitness, there is a conservation walk. It's like a quarter or a third of a mile to half a mile long, and it goes from North Ave and it ends on the side close to Middlesex Turnpike.
Yes.
And it would be nice as a challenge to think about to have talking about creating pollinator gardens and green space and so forth. Right now, if you want to walk down that pathway, you then walk on the sidewalk for Middlesex Turnpike, which is certainly not as attractive as walking on a greened pathway, maybe with vegetation on both sides, and you could come around and somehow make your way around through the green space that you're talking about, go past Lifetime Fitness, in through the green space, and up and get sort of parallel to Fourth Ave, and end up obviously on the street there. I don't know what it is, whether that's North Street or whatever. And so you make a complete circle. So much of that walking loop that some people do, only a third of it is sort of vegetated and pleasant to walk on, which is the forested or the path. But I thought it would be a nice amenity to think about if there was a way with all the green space and innovation you're thinking of, if there's a way of connecting it all the way in a loop that goes from North Ave, go through the forested, the walkway, the trail, if you will, the trail, come down in front of Lifetime, and then have some type of a vegetated walkway on both sides that goes around through the green space you're talking about, ends up back where you started. Is there any possibility you could take a look at that and see if something could be done?
We can certainly look at it. We are building that trail to which you refer was built a couple of years ago, and it already exists today. And it goes over towards Route 3, and there are other trails that we're developing up in there. We can look at it. I think it'd be difficult to cross Lifetime Fitness's brand new parking lot, Larry, and tear all that up. But we'll take a look at a path of travel and see if we can connect it somehow.
Yeah, I was thinking of the fact that you were talking about there'll be some kind of a walkway between Lifetime Fitness and this residential area, that even if there's a little bit of vegetation on both sides, it's better than walking along Middlesex Turnpike, is my thinking.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So maybe it's kind of a challenge, but it would certainly be a nice addition if you could do it.
Okay. I know there's a pathway that leads from this site to the front door of Lifetime Fitness that does have vegetation on both sides. We can study it.
That would be great if you could see if there's anything further you could do in that regard. Not for this meeting, but at some point, I'd like to contact you on the other side of that trail that you're talking about from north that heads to Route 3.
Yes.
Yes, I've been on it many times, and the one major improvement, which wouldn't take a lot of effort, is if there's a whole bunch of people have deposited tires. There's about 40 tires that ruin the whole feel of walking on a path. Yeah. And we don't have to talk about it here because it's not relevant, but I'd love to very soon send you an email and ask you at some point if we could do something over the next few months.
Sure. We'd be happy to look at that. And we're constantly pulling stuff out of there. People dump stuff up. They dump things up in the woods in there. But that's something we could definitely work with you on.
Yeah, I've counted 38 tires right now that have been deposited.
Okay.
So, and I know exactly where they are if you need to know.
Well, maybe the best thing to do is just take a walk up there someday.
That sounds great, Todd. Okay. All right. So let's go over. Is there anybody in the audience? This is the project at 2 and 4th Ave, 2 and 4 4th Ave, and it's also considered 174 Middlesex Turnpike. Is there anyone in the audience for this?
Larry, can I just make one more comment?
Please, Bill.
I just want to point out, this is a development like this and all the things we think about. It's not just about the people that live there. Just as an example, when we went there to look at the site the other day, John was happy to point out there was a flock of like 20 or 30 snow buntings right in the middle of the lot. So all your plantings and all of your other, accoutrements around this, there are other residents beside the people that are going to live in the building. And I think it's important to keep them in mind when we try to make a suitable place. You get winter berries or something in there, and the flocks will come in the middle of winter and eat all the berries. And so I think it's important to try to keep that in mind.
Okay, Bill, I'm writing it down.
Okay. All right. So let's go over the small list that we have. The O&M plan is going to have something in it that talks about maintenance of the grates to our inspection and maintenance if needed. Is that one item? The second item is that something about snowplow designation, place and removal, or some kind of a plan or a designation on a plan.
Snow storage and removal plan.
Right. The third is you're going to take a look at landscape changes to minimize grass and maximize other attractive features.
I think we're going to come back to you with, we hear the comment, we understand the comment. I do think it's an area where the public could be accommodated for functions. I want to come back to Gail with some programmatic ideas, but we'll talk to our landscape architect about that as well.
Right. And the last thing that I talked about was the possibility of connecting or adding some kind of path with vegetation on both sides that could lead from the discharge of the walking path on the north side of Lifetime Fitness and perhaps connect with the green space in some fashion. I mean, I realize it's kind of you're not going to create a forested area. I understand that, but maybe you can do something that would.
Yeah, we'll look at it, Larry. Just a better connection.
That sounds great. And let's see. That's all I have. Did you folks record anything else?
Larry, there was one other thing that I meant to bring up earlier. I just like the MRSA and the engineering team to take a look at Standard 6 under the stormwater regulations. I think this is a Zone 2, which would be a critical area, and it's not checked off on the. So that's it.
Thank you. Yes, we'll take a look at that.
Okay, take another look at Standard 6 for the stormwater standards. Okay. Is there anything that is needed for John? How do we get a better handle on being satisfied with the floodplain compensation, which is the main regulatory issue relative to wetland resource areas?
You can't. There's no more information that you could get than the table that they have broken down by 1 foot increments. I mean, that's what you need to see. I mean, if at each 1 foot increment, their table shows that they're not losing flood storage, and in most cases they're gaining flood storage, then they're meeting the standard.
I see. Does the engineering department do any further review of this typically?
The town engineering department?
Yes.
They may as part of the planning board review. I'm not really sure.
Okay. All right. So is anything needed in this regard from us, or are we asking anything from them?
I don't think we need to.
Okay. All right. Just asking. All right. So, Mr. Buckley, did you record anything else other than the things mentioned?
Oh, I think that summarizes it very well, Larry.
All right. Sounds good, Bob. So when will you folks plan to come back? The next meeting is January 28th.
Whenever
we can resubmit the snow storage and make sure the O&M has the grates. I think it will probably be we'll be working through the green area for a little while, getting the specifics on the plantings. But all the other comments, I think we could submit something before the next hearing.
So Larry, the question is though, or to the development team, will you be ready with the planning board or that quickly, or will you just be looking for a continuance in 2 weeks from us because you're still before the planning board?
I think our next planning board hearing is on the 28th, Bob.
This is Christine Hung. Yeah, we have a planning board hearing on the 28th, but we're also before the Board of Health. And typically the planning board will want to have the decision of the Board of Health.
Yeah.
So we're in front of the Board of Health on the 26th. I think at the last Board of Health hearing, they were planning to render their decision and vote on it on the 26th. So I think that will be done. Then the planning board is
So is the planning board next week?
So I think we won't be done till February.
Planning board is next week.
Yeah,
What?
we're the 28th.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right. So we'll be done with the Board of Health on the 26th, and I think we'll be done with the planning board in the beginning of February.
I think it's February 9th. Is that correct?
February 4th, I believe.
Does it make sense to continue to February 11th?
Problem is that would be after the planning board hearing, unless the commission felt. Maybe what we should do is come back on the 28th and give an update. And if you're comfortable, then you could issue a letter to the planning board indicating that the issues that have been addressed or have been focused on could be addressed, and you see no impediment to issuing the condition, the order.
John, how does that sound?
That's fine.
Okay, that sounds good to me too as well, unless the commissioners see some other schedule. I think a couple of the things may take a little discussion on the 28th anyway. Some of the things that are not exactly straightforward that need to be developed.
With respect, Mr. Chairman, with respect to the vegetation plan that Gail brought up, which I understand her concept, as I said, I enjoy the Rose Kennedy almost daily during the summer. That might be something that we loop in, and it's an interim process that as we go through it, that we'll come back to the board and show what we're proposing.
Right.
But I don't think that will be done by the 28th or the 4th or whatever. But I do think it's worthwhile to have that discussion, and as we go through the design of it, to keep the commission as well as the planning board in the loop.
All right. So an update is exactly what we need.
Okay.
All right. So if there's nothing further from anyone, I'd entertain a motion to continue this hearing until January 28th for the project at 2 and 4th Ave and 174 Middlesex Turnpike location.
So moved.
So moved. Second, Don.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, chair votes yes, that's 6-0. This hearing is continued until January 28th.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for your time and consideration, and everyone stay healthy.
Yes, same to all you folks. Thank you very much.
Right on. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening. Okay, so I guess where are we now on the agenda? We're skipped down to administrative stuff. We have planning board comments. Anything at this point?
Larry, you skipped number 14.
Hello.
Oh, 14. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Okay, this is proposed revisions to Burlington Stormwater Management Bylaw governing erosion sedimentation control. This is the update as a result of requirements by the EPA stormwater permit for municipalities. We are required to bring our bylaw in compliance with the requirements of the federal permit. Eileen, is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. And I just wanted to give you a very, very quick update. We've run this by the planning board and the Board of Health. We've gotten a letter of approval from both, although the Board of Health's one has a kind of a caveat that bioretention areas that may result in standing water will not be approved in residential areas. We have had several rounds of comments with the bylaw review committee, and we're meeting them next Tuesday. We will be running by the Board of the Selectmen on next Wednesday, but it's in the town meeting warrant. So if the commissioners are on board with this, I'd like us to vote to close this and to get a recommendation to approve.
All right. Any comments from the commission? Any comments from the public on the revisions to our stormwater erosion and sedimentation control bylaw? Hearing none. Could I have a motion to close the hearing on the proposed hearing for the proposed revisions to the Burlington Stormwater Management Bylaw for erosion and sedimentation control?
So moved, Gail.
Second.
Bill.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This hearing on bylaw revisions to erosion sedimentation control bylaw is closed. Okay. And the only thing needed, John and Eileen, is to vote a show of support for proposing this to town meeting adoption.
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Could I have a motion to show the will of the commission is to approve the revisions, the proposed revisions to the Burlington Stormwater Management Bylaw governing erosion sedimentation control to be brought to town meeting for their approval?
So moved, Ed.
Second?
Second, Gail.
All right. Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. By a vote of 6-0-0, the proposed revisions are approved and will be brought to town meeting for their approval for changes to this bylaw. All right. Anything else on this one at all? Nope. Okay. How about planning board comments?
I don't think we have anything. It's premature to comment on 174 Middlesex, I think.
Right.
And 60 Blanchard, the planning board's doing as a minor engineering change.
Right.
I will indicate to them the commission's preference on curbing, though.
Right. Okay. Subcommittee and staff reports? Nothing. Upcoming meetings, this has been mentioned a number of times. The next one is January 28th. The one after that is February 11th. Other business?
Just say thanks to everybody for the high fives for Mary Cummings Park.
Well deserved.
Good job, Ed.
Well done.
Anything else?
Larry, before we adjourn, can I just remind everybody that everything that we voted on tonight, there will be signature sheets waiting in the gray box tomorrow. So can you please come around and sign it?
All right. By what time in the morning will it be safe that they will be there, Eileen?
I don't know what she said, but probably by 9 o'clock, certainly.
Okay. We can try that. All right. Anything further? Motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Bill.
Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bill? Jennifer?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The meeting is adjourned by a vote of 6-0. Everyone, have a good evening. Stay safe.
All right.
Take care.
Congrats, Ed.